So today we're going to start and we're going to a bit review what you should have done over the years in various forms, okay, in the English classes usually. And we're going to talk about how to come up with a good research question. Okay? So, how many of you remember what was said about ethos and pathos and logos and all this? Yes? You're all nodding your head? Okay, good. Do you remember anything about Kairos? Depending on your professor, you would have heard or not heard of Kairos. Kairos is a Greek word, sorry? Related to time and place. Yes, Kairos is a Greek word, K-A-I-R-O-S. And it's a Greek word that basically means unit. It's a RHET, very much a RHET expression. It's just the unit of time and place. Okay? And we'll talk more about this. All right, so how did you start with your essay or your introduction when you had one? When you had to write one? What did you do? Yes?
General information about the topic.
General information about the topic.
Definition.
Definitions. Okay, all this is in the background and the definition in the introduction. Very good. What else is in the introduction? Yes? Sorry? Thesis statement. Yes. What else is in there? General information, thesis statement.
Maybe we can start with a hook.
With a hook. Yeah. Yeah. In academic writing, you don't really. It's a bit different. Yeah. It's not creative writing so much. So you don't really need a hook. What else? Yes. Hey? A question. How does a question differ from the thesis statement? Can you help her out? Can you raise your voice, please? Can anybody help her? It's a title? It's a title for the whole essay? No? A summary of what you're going to discuss throughout the whole essay? Yes? Yes? Okay. Seems to me you're not quite sure. What is a thesis statement then? What's a thesis statement?
Giving the reader, the one who will read the article, the essay, what I'm going to say.
So telling the reader
Yes.
what the essay is going to be about. And a thesis statement is like an outline? It's a brief of what you're going to be discussing. Adam?
Sentence like a topic sentence.
It's like a topic sentence?
Yes, something like that.
Really?
Something.
So if I have a topic sentence, for example, that reads, smoking is a big problem at AUC, is that a topic sentence? Is that a thesis statement, sorry?
No.
Why not?
It doesn't describe what you're going to serve in that article or essay.
Okay, we don't know whether it's going to describe AUC or the problem of smoking or whether it's big or not or higher. It's a hypothesis. Okay, what's a hypothesis? It's sorry? It's a hypothesis is biased. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because whatever it's mainly this statement in a research paper can only bias.
A thesis statement in a research cannot be biased, is what you're saying? Do you agree? Not agree? What's the question? All right, good point to stop here. Yeah, it's obvious that you guys are not very clear about what a thesis statement is. Okay, the thesis statement is going to be your starting point for this. And we need to get there a bit faster because we only have the 15 weeks that we have. Yeah? And remember the gap we were talking about last time in the research or the new perspective or the new brick that we were going to place? Okay, we have to come up with a thesis statement. Now, this thesis statement is going to be refined and worked on throughout your essay, which we will call the literature review, until the literature review is done. Okay? All right, how do we write, what is a good research question? In a good research question, can you please take down this as notes and we'll go back and talk about them. You need to have in no specific order, okay? So put them down as bullet points only in no specific order. The order is up to you. We need a Kairos of time and place. Kairos, unit of time and place. Next bullet. We need a claim. After the claim, what do we need? A hypothesis. We need a position. We need to show position. And lastly, if we can, we need to address audience. Okay, but the audience can come elsewhere in the introduction as part of the background. Okay? All right. Let's discuss each point on its own. Why do we need a Kairos of time and place when we have a research question? Why should we specify, for example, in Egypt as opposed to in the States? That's a Kairos of place.
To be able to understand if the research is relevant to someone.
Exactly, because what may be relevant and valid in one place, in one country, may not be relevant and valid in another country. Yes? A tradition that we have here may not fit at all with a tradition that we have elsewhere, and so on. So we need to specify where our research is going to be based. Okay? All right. Or which country our research is going to be discussing, or which situation, because the place cannot just be a physical one. It can be an institution one, an abstract one, like, for example, in schools. Yeah? In universities, what is valid in a school, in kindergarten, is not valid in university. For example, the hook that you mentioned. That would be more relevant to a middle school composition class of creative writing as opposed to a university academic research course. Okay? Good. That's a place. Why do we need to specify Kairos of time? Almost the same reason. Yeah? What may have been valid then is no longer valid today. Let me give you an example. When I was growing up, and probably your mums or maybe your young grandmothers, all right? You may have heard them say that coffee was not good for young women. Yeah, you're shaking your head. Maybe you heard that. They used to say, no, you can't drink coffee. Aib, it's not good for you. When I was growing up. And I loved the smell of coffee. Nowadays, with the new research that we have on nutrition, on the way the body functions, on the hormones that we have, on all the brain research that has come up and so on, they actually say coffee is good for you. That you need to drink about 2 or 3 cups of coffee. Of course, in excess is not. But that's the new research that's coming along. So if I want to talk about a specific perspective on coffee drinking, I would need to specify the Kairos of time. Am I talking about when I was young? 10 years ago only? Or am I talking about nowadays? Okay? So we need to specify Kairos of time. Good. What is claim? What is a claim? What does claim mean? And I want you to I want you to start fresh on your understanding of this, because in your other classes previously, you may have had different names for the same concept. Okay, so I call it a claim and a hypothesis, and the French also do. Is anybody in the French system here, or was? We have the thèse and the antithèse, yeah, that you had in the French system, which is exactly the same. All right, so what is a claim? Hiya. Almost, yeah? Okay, let's say it in another way. The claim, you can think of the claim as something being that is generally accepted. A claim is a statement of something that is generally accepted by most people. For example, smoking is bad for your health, even though you may smoke, but it's a generally accepted claim nowadays, yeah? Smoke, again, you see, I had to specify the Kairos of time, because in the 1940s when we had cowboy and Indian movies, remember? If you've watched any of those, what was his name, the famous actor, the cowboy? John Wayne. Yeah, John Wayne. When we had the John Wayne actors, they used to portray the Rothman cigarettes and the Marlboro as being, you know, macho and strong and powerful, and this was the epitome of the man, you know? It was a good thing. So that's why you need to specify Kairos of time. Otherwise, somebody can say, no, that's not true, and your argument is completely weakened. So when you specify time of Kairos of time, nowadays, within the last 20 years, yeah, it has been proven that smoking is dangerous for your health. That's your claim. That's a statement that is generally accepted, okay? Then we need, in order for it to be a good research question, we need a hypothesis. What does hypo mean in Greek, again?
I think hypothesis means an educated guess.
An educated guess.
Yes.
Not quite.
An observation.
But sort of, I guess. An observation, yes. What does hypo mean in Greek? Do you know? What is hypertension and hypotension? Huh? Hypo is less. Okay? Hypo in Greek means less. So that you have the claim and you have the hypothesis, which is under the claim and which usually goes against the claim. Yes, Shigif? It can be true or false. Absolutely. And that's what your research is going to find out. By the end of your research, remember the three options, your hypothesis you will prove that your hypothesis is either correct or it's incorrect or it needs more research to be resolved. Okay? So the hypothesis is coming under your claim and in opposition to your claim. Okay? And your research question, which includes all of these 4 or 5 elements, that's the whole research question. We call it a research question. It can look like a question, yeah, with a question mark, or it can be a statement, but it's called a research question. Okay, your RQ must show position. It must show whether you, as a research, agree or disagree with what? Agree or disagree with? With the claim. Good for you. Whether you agree or disagree with the claim. Why? Why do we need to show position right at the beginning of our essay, of our research paper?
To help the professor to know.
No, not to help the professor do anything. Hey? Not to know, not to help.
I agree to develop value.
To develop the whole research, because if you don't have a position against, what are you arguing for? If you agree or disagree with a position, what's the point of researching? Why are you arguing? Yeah? So you have to have a point of conflict in order to develop your research. Okay, yes?
But you mean like a counter-argument in that?
Not quite a counter-argument. I'll explain further. I'll give you an example now that will show this very clearly. All right. Let's start with the claim. Isn't it a generalized, accepted fact that students go from 12th grade in July, if they succeed, yeah, if they pass, they go from 12th grade in July to first year university in August, September? Yes or no? You've all done it. Yeah? Isn't that the majority of the case, that students move from 12th grade, high school 12th grade, into first year university in September? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. I want now to talk about my hypothesis. I want to say something that goes against this claim. Yeah? What am I going to say? Some students take a year off between 12th grade and first year university, correct? The gap year. Yeah? That's my hypothesis. How do I put these two together? And I have to show position. So I would say something like, it is generally accepted that students move from 12th grade high school into first year university after the summer holiday, semicolon. However, some students may choose to take a gap year to go explore the world, for example. Yeah? Have I shown position? But I've said that now I have a hypothesis. My hypothesis is, however, some students choose to go to take a year off. Yeah? Okay, let's show position. How about if I said, however, it is beneficial for some students to go to take a year off and explore the world before settling into academia. Have I shown a position or not?
Yes.
It is beneficial. It is a value for students to take a year off and explore the world, etc., etc. Yeah? There's my position. I've shown that I am for taking a year off. Okay, what is missing now? We have the claim. Students go from 12th grade to first year. We have the hypothesis. I've shown position. It is beneficial. What are we missing according to your list? Kairos of time and place. All right, Kairos of time and place. Give us a Kairos of time. Nowadays, for example, within the last 5-10 years, for example, yeah? Why is it important? Because, and I'll give you again a very, in our day, maybe Andrew and mine, yeah? It wasn't common at all. It was totally not heard of for people to take a year off between school and university. You finished your kindergarten, you went to middle school, you went to high school, you went to university, and then you worked a little and then you went into your master's. Or you went straight into your master's. Nowadays, it's much more accepted because travel is easier. Traveling is easier. Contact with foreign universities is easier. You have the internet, for God's sakes. You can communicate with all these places. Your parents can communicate, so they're more willing also to let you go as kids. Yeah? Sorry, as children. As their children. Yes? To all these places. So it's much more common nowadays. So you would need to specify nowadays. It is much more common. Do we need to specify a Kairos of place? Or is it sometimes obvious? It's obvious. We're talking about students. We're talking about the institution of education as opposed to post-education life. All right? So, a good research question will look totally something like this. Nowadays, or within the past 5 to 10 years. Okay? No, start again, sorry. It is common, it is generally accepted that students go from school in high school, 12th grade, directly into first year university after the summer holiday. However, semicolon, however, in the last 5 to 10 years, it is beneficial for students to be going to take a year off and start exploring the world before they come back to their studies for the next 5 or 10 years. And there I have a good, well-constructed thesis statement. All of this is the thesis statement that will have to appear like that in your introduction. Anywhere in your introduction, maybe at the beginning, the middle, the end. It doesn't have to appear in the order that I gave you, but it has to have these elements. All right? Now, we've talked about most of your topics. I would like you as an assignment for next time to rephrase all this, to include all these different elements and come up with a thesis statement. Okay? And then to come up with connected sources, connected topics. For example, we talked about how media influences the topic you had. You were talking about bullying. Again, how media or technology or X or Y came in, and think of all these connections that we can have. All right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes? Please remember that little sentence about the high school and because I'm going to be referring to that all the time. Claim. Now, just for an exercise, we have a few more minutes. Just for an exercise, can we switch in this situation, claim and hypothesis? Write it down. Write down the claim I just wrote you. All right, write this down. in general, comma, within the last 10 years, comma, 12th grade students usually enter first year of university after taking their final exam. Semicolon. However, comma, it is of great benefit for some of them to take a gap year and explore the world before settling into academia. Full stop. Okay. So which is the claim? Where is the claim? No, in the past 10 years is the Kairos of time. Most students is the place. No, it is beneficial is the statement of position. In general is the statement is the Kairos of place. First grade, 12th year students usually enter high school, first year of university immediately after. That's the claim. Good. What is the hypothesis that goes against the claim? However, it is, okay, however, some students take a gap year before to explore the world, etc. Yeah? Now turn that around. Make the claim into the hypothesis. Let's see if you can do it. And turn the hypothesis into a claim. Rewrite that thesis statement to show a different position. All right, who's ready to share? Malak, Farah. Go ahead. In general, within the last 10 years,
some 12-year students take a gap year before settling into academia. And then, however, it is a great benefit for them to enter university after taking their final exam.
What do you agree? Yeah? Did you hear what she said? May I? May I? Did you have more or less the same thing? In general, within the last 10 years, some 12th year students take a gap year before settling into academia. So far, so good? Yes? However, comma, it is of great benefit for them to enter university after taking their final exam. What's missing? Or what's good? What's bad? What's... Haya. It's not general. You're talking about them, meaning the few students who take a gap year. Yeah? Let's have another one that is a bit more specific. The first part of this is fine. May I?
No, I didn't write it, but...
Can you say it? Nice and clear. Some people claim that
taking a gap year after the 12th grade is beneficial to students.
So some people claim that taking a gap year after 12th grade is beneficial to students. Good. However,
going into the first year of university is more is the safer option, or
is a safe. However, going immediately into first year university is a safer option. What would you need? Because you need a brief reason to make it complete, which is what you need also. Because what? Because it provides continuity to their studies, for example. Yeah. Because because otherwise they would forget what they have learned over the summer, for example. Yeah. You need to complete it that way. Yes. Anybody else? It's the same, more or less. Yeah, more or less. Everybody has the same. You see how you've done it. And of course, you can show disapproval. Yeah? It is not a good idea for da-da-da-da-da. Then you're showing position. There are lots of ways you can show position. Okay. Has this made claim and hypothesis much clearer? Yeah, now you know. So forget about topic sentence for this, forget about all this. When I talk about thesis statement, I'm talking about kairos of time and place, claim, hypothesis, position. Okay? All of this gives you a nice, clearly argued, and then we know that the rest of your research you're going to be talking about the claim, sources for and against. This is where the counter arguments come in. Perspectives for, perspectives against. Yeah? You're going to be talking about the hypothesis, for and against, and all this will lead in the conclusion of your literature review to a refinement, a restatement or a refinement, or sometimes even a slight modification to your research question. And that's where you will come up with the famous gap in the research that you will be exploring. Okay? Thank you for your attention. I hope this has made it clear. I see you smiling, Adham. Does this mean you feel better? Yeah? Everybody has a clear understanding? Yes? Any questions? Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.